Stellaris, a signal from the future. Here's your speaker, Daniel Moregård, Game Director for Stellaris.
Hello everyone, it's nice to see you all again, and I hope you've had a great PDXCon thus far. I think it's been quite interesting to see all the announcements today. Especially I was really looking forward to the CK3 announcement. It was really cool to watch it from on top of there. What did you guys feel? Yeah, it was really cool to see that. It's really fun to actually that we're finally as a studio releasing a new generation of grand strategy games. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Stellaris. So, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm going to try to run through this presentation in about 15 minutes so that we have some time over for questions. And if you want to ask questions, you actually have to go into the PDXCon Discord and then go through the main stage channel and post your questions there. And then someone will get them to me on the screen here in front of me. So as far as I've been informed, even though you're not here at PDXCon, you should still be able to go into the Discord and ask your questions. And I hope that's true. So, let's start. This will be a presentation about our next expansion, Federations. I will be going through the features in more detail. So we'll be talking about the Federation rework, the Galactic Community. We'll be talking about the new background stories in the form of Origins, and something we didn't actually talk about during the announcement show, which is some new big stuff. So let's jump right into it. The new Federation system. As I talked about during the announcement, the Federation system will feature new Federation types. It will feature cohesion and experience, how to level up, and you can also get Federation perks and Federation laws. And I will now go into these in more detail. So, we have 5 different Federation types. Each has a different passive effect, as well as their own set of perks that they will unlock when they level up. One type is the Galactic Union, which is the more default Federation that has a focus of making it easier to collaborate in a larger Federation. Next up, we have the Trade League, which as its passive effect gives you a new trade policy called Trade League, which encompasses all the bonuses of all the other trade policies combined. So quite powerful. And then we have the Research Cooperative. As the name implies, this Federation type is oriented around common technological advancement. And their passive effect is that they have free and automatic research agreements between all members. They will also be able to unlock perks that further increase how strong that research sharing is, among other things. And for the more militaristic players, the Martial Alliance is a Federation type that is oriented around having a large Federation fleet that is also very powerful. And lastly, we have the Hegemony, which is a Federation type that is oriented, oriented around one strong member and a couple of weaker or smaller empires around it. And this is passive effect. It makes it impossible to leave the Federation without getting permission from the President. And the President can also get a war goal to force people into the Federation. So I think that's going to be quite exciting. So what's the challenge with a Federation, then you ask? Well, in order to level up, or well, gain experience and level up, you actually need to maintain your cohesion. And there are several things that reduce cohesion, but are also actions that you can take to increase cohesion. For every member you have, and the more diverse your ethics are, the larger penalty to cohesion you have. And you can offset that by assigning envoys to your federation. More about envoys later. And as you gain experience, you will level up. And when you level up, you will get access to new federation perks, depending on the type you are. Federations usually have 2 perks that affect all the members, and then 1 perk that only affects the president. But the hegemony swaps that around, so you have 2 perks for the president and only 1 perk for the members. You also get access to federation laws, so that you can further customize your federation. For example, there's a law that now determines how large your fleet contribution is. So it's no longer that you send 20% of your naval capacity by default. It will instead depend on your level, but also your federation type. For example, the research cooperative will not start with any fleet contribution active, so it will not have a federation fleet by default. It will need to level up and enact the law that said that we're going to have a fleet. And they also cannot get the highest level of fleet contribution, which some other federation types can. There's also laws that lets you decide how the president is chosen and for how long there will be president. So it's no longer only the strongest one. You can change it to be rotating, random, highest diplomatic weight, and more about that later, or challenge. So you can engage in a challenge between the strongest empires or the ones that choose to participate. Or you can also engage in a psionic battle where all your psionic pops will sort of muster psionic energy to try to defeat the other side. Let's move on. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the Galactic Community. As I talked about briefly during the announcement show, this is more akin to a United Nations in space. And its goal is to make diplomacy on a galactic stage more interesting. And how we do that is mainly through the resolutions. The resolutions are laws that affect all the members of the Galactic Community. And they are very varied in their effects. They're actually designed in the way that they should be very contentious. Like, is this something that's good for you, or is this something that's bad for you? Even empires that are friends might have different agendas in which resolutions should be passed. For example, you can have a resolution that increases trade value and trade protection, but as a sacrifice, you have to give up naval capacity. So that might be good for one type of empire. And as another example, we can have a resolution that increases how much diplomatic weight or influence in the galactic community that you have by having a large fleet, for example. So let's go into diplomatic weight a little bit. This is a new type of score system, sort of, that checks, how strong is your fleet, how rich is your economy, how advanced is your technology, and so on. So it looks at your empire and picks a different of factors and then gives you a diplomatic weight. And there's different sources that increase how much diplomatic weight you gain from, for example, fleet power. So as you can understand, different resolutions can make different empires more influential by passing certain types of resolutions. Resolutions are voted on using diplomatic weight. So how it works is that any member of the Galactic Community can propose a resolution. And when it's proposed, it goes into the queue that you can see here to the left. And the resolution that has the most amount of support in terms of diplomatic weight is the thing that will be on the top. Only one resolution can be voted on at a time. So when a session is when a resolution is in session, that's for right now it's 5 years, then it's when actually being voted on. And then the next thing that gets voted on is the thing that's on top of the queue. So you are able to gather support for your resolutions and push them up the proposal queue and then to have them voted on. And a way to do that is with the new favor system. So we've designed that you should be able to interact with this system even if you are using it in player versus between players. So what favors do is that you can borrow a certain amount of diplomatic weight from an empire for another empire to use for a resolution. So for example, if I have 10 favors that I call in from someone else, it means that I can add their whole diplomatic weight to a vote or a proposal that I want to push for. You're also able to assign envoys to the Galactic Community. And envoys are very similar to diplomats in EU4, so they have lots of different purposes. And by assigning them to the Galactic Community, you will have more diplomatic weight. There are also resolutions that can set a galactic focus. For example, to form the galactic market is no longer done through an event that happens when enough empires know about each other, but it's rather something that you have to pass as a resolution in the Galactic Community. So that's pretty cool. There's also different focuses that you can set, and there can only be one galactic focus active at a time. You know, when the galaxy is being invaded by the Scourge or the Unbidden, usually AIs had to sort of be threatened enough to react for it. And we're not changing that, so galactic focus will be that, you know, you as a galactic community decide or declare that this invasion is a threat to the galaxy and we must join forces to beat it. So you will now be able to set a galactic focus that is, for example, defeat the crisis. So it means that when that has been voted through, you are able to, you know, open up your borders with all the other members and help out. So it becomes a little bit more clear when that actually is happening. You can also form the Galactic Council, which works a little bit like the Security Council. So you get access to special powers, such as veto rights or emergency measures. Emergency measures allows you to push up a resolution to be voted on quickly. For example, if I'm a member of the Galactic Council and I'm being invaded by the Scourge because I am around the edge of the galaxy, I can push for an emergency resolution to declare that this is a threat to the galaxy. We all need to join together to fight them. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. I can't even go through all of it, so maybe someone has some questions later. But let's move on. The origins. We have already posted a dev diary about this, outlining how the basic system works, and I think people understand. But let's repeat it quickly. We always liked how the civic system added a lot of customization to your empire. And Origins allows us to build upon that system and to make further use of what we believed was untapped potential. So Origins allows you to pick a background story for your empire. And let's go through some of these examples. The Shattered Ring origin allows you to start in a Shattered Ring world. And the Void Dwellers origin means that you have fled your former homeworld that's been destroyed, and you now live on habitats instead. So you can build habitats earlier, and it's also harder for you to live on other planets because you've become so used to living in the void. The Scion origin allows you to start as the vassal of a fallen empire with some more interesting interactions. The Remnants origin, it will start you on a relic world where you can rediscover the former glory of your empire, mainly through archaeology sites and things of that nature. And lastly, out of these examples, we have the Tree of Life. This is an origin unique to hive minds, and it gives your homeworld a Tree of Life that gives you powerful bonuses. But it's not very good for you if you should lose it or if it should be destroyed. In fact, it will be quite disastrous for you. The expansion will feature a whole bunch of these new origins, and we are really happy to add them because we think they're going to add so much to Stellaris, add a whole lot of more cool starts for you to choose from. So even if you're playing the same type of empire, you can now do it differently because you're picking different origins for them. I think that's... Thank you. We are really excited for this feature, and when Federations is released, we will have, I believe, 18 different origins for you to pick from. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to end up having 60 origins to pick from because you're going to install a lot of cool mods. So really looking forward to seeing what the community is going to come up with here. I think this is a great amount of potential. Big stuff. Let me take a guess. There's no one here that thinks adding bigger ships is a bad idea. In fact, I think adding bigger and more badass ships is always a good idea. So, the Juggernaut. This is something that's been quite requested a lot, actually. It's basically a mobile starbase combined with a colossal warship. So it can build ships, it can repair ships, and it's really strong. So it's going to be an excellent forward space of operation during offensive campaigns. So as you can see, even for those of you who might not want to dabble in the intrigue and politics of the Galactic Community, you still have some really cool stuff to do. No longer can you not indeed proclaim that you are the Juggernaut, because that is now possible. We're also adding a new mega structure, which is the mega shipyard, because why not build a lot of ships really fast, right? Right, let's quickly go through lithoids. It will be released next week, on Thursday, in fact. So it will feature 15 new portraits, including also on top of that, one extra robot portrait. New ship sets, voice pack, but this time around also some unique gameplay. So let's talk about that a little bit quickly. 4 unique traits. The lithoid trait itself means that you now eat minerals instead of food for your pops. You have better habitability, but as a to balance that around, you also have a little bit of slower pop growth. But on top of that, there's something cool that actually on your home world, you will be able to dig out some of your hibernating pops from your home world's crust. So it sort of works like clearing the slums for most regular empires. So you can clear a blocker and gain a new pop. This is to offset the fact that we don't want the start to be too slow for lithoids. We also have some unique traits, for example, like the scintillating skin, which makes that rare crystals flake off the skin of all your lithoid pops. So, I want to go into some questions now. I'm going to step over here and take a look at what the questions actually are. Let's see. All right, here's a good one. It's a Stellaris / general grand strategy question. Will we ever be able to rebind our keys? Yeah, I know, it's a little bit embarrassing. It's living in the 80s here. It's something we want to do, but currently, it's not in the plan because we are using the current old engine. But I'm really hoping that the next generation of games will feature that. I'm not going to promise anything for any other games that have been mentioned here today, but that's something that I've been pushing for. I actually made a design for it, how it should work. So hopefully we'll get around to that soon, but probably not for Stellaris. A question here, some person is wondering if we are going to rework other types of phenotypes and give them more unique mechanics, like lithoids. And the only question I have is, maybe? It depends on what ideas we have. Because lithoids really felt like they have to eat minerals instead of food, because it just made so much sense and we really wanted to do it. So it really depends on what idea we have, because you can also ask yourself the question like, would this be better as a general trait that everyone can have? I don't know. Let's see. All right. Someone is asking, what's the difference between a hegemonic federation and just having vassals? Well, I mean, they still have some sort of freedom when you're in a hegemony, because you actually get bonuses by being in the hegemony. As an example, the perks that are given to the members actually give them like resource production bonuses, which is not applied to the president. So it is actually beneficial to be in a hegemony if you are a smaller empire, because you will get pretty strong bonuses. But it doesn't work the same way as vassals do. But I mean, if that's something people can be asking for us to add more interactions with hegemony and how vassals work, I mean, it's obviously something we can take a look at in the future, because we listen to you guys and you guys have a lot of cool ideas that we want to accommodate, right? Sorry, one moment. I'm just going to see what the time is, because it's probably fine. It says I'm a little bit over time, but I know that the grand strategy panel is going to be right after us, so there's no rush. I still have like 4 minutes left. Let's see. There's a question. Are the federations specifically designed to work in tandem with megacorps, giving trade bonuses and potentially have merges? Yes and no. The federation types cannot be formed by anyone. So it depends on what type of empire you are that decides which types of federations you can suggest to form. So for example, the Trade League can only be formed by a megacorp or an empire that has the Merchant Guild's civic. There's also other examples like that. The question is if the Blorg will finally find friendship. Maybe. It depends on how much they actually manage to accomplish in the Galactic Community, I guess. Because maybe they can pass a resolution to enforce friendship, but we'll see. That's not in the game right now, by the way. It's a good idea, though, maybe. There's a question that I see that there's a Senate floor in the Galactic Community. Can one become the Senate? Technically, yes. So the Senate floor is actually what we call where the votes are actually taking place. So you have the resolutions that are being proposed, and when they're in session, they are on the Senate floor. And the Galactic Council obviously has greater influence on it. So I mean, technically you could give the Galactic Council more powers, and then by chance maybe reduce its members' count to 1. And then, yeah, we can see how we can expand that in more evil ways in the future. Because I know that's what you're all thinking. Let's see. Origin question. Someone wonders if there's a origin system that would work similar to how the feudal civic works. A start where there's a feudal lord with vassals or something similar. There's actually more origins that I didn't talk about, and we will be sharing all the origins in future dev diaries. Actually, all the features. We will be writing dev diaries about each feature in more detail, because I still can't, on this presentation, cover every detail. There will be, for example, an origin that starts you in a hegemony federation with some, sort of vassal states. There's also another origin that starts you in a more friendly federation. Will purging lithoids give more minerals? Yes. It doesn't... I mean, they're made out of rock, so yes, they should. Right. I'm getting the warning that it's only 4 to 5 minutes until the grand strategy panel. So I think it's time to actually say goodbye for now. I'll actually see you guys in like 4 minutes again, together with all the other game directors. And we're going to answer even more funny questions. Maybe we'll see what the other game directors have to say about rebindable keys, because that's such an important thing to discuss, I think. Anyway, thank you all for listening.